If you're cutting tapers, add this to your wish list. I've built quite a few tables over the years, and most of them have had tapered legs. And I've used several different jigs to do that. I've used a store-bought jig. I've used one that I made myself, and it worked pretty well. But what I'm finding now is this could be a game changer for me. I've been working with this Microdial Tapering Jig, and I really like it. One thing you'll notice is it's partially assembled out of the box. It's got all the parts you need, excellent instructions, and it's basically just putting a handle on and installing the knobs, and you're good to go. What's really cool about this jig, and is actually a game changer for me, is that you have two different ways that you can set a taper. It has a degree scale and a rise and run scale. So if you know your angle of taper that you want to cut, you just set it and you're good to go. But maybe you don't know the angle and you can't measure it. Well, you can do a little bit of math and figure it with rise and run. I don't know of any other jig that can do that. Another nice feature of the jig is the memory lock system. So if you're doing something where you're going to need to maybe cut a couple different tapers and you want to remember those tapers, well then you're going to need this memory lock system. Two other key components to the jig is that there is a pivot knob and a lock knob. So when you use either microdial to set your taper, that microdial isn't meant to lock that setting. You'll always want to use the lock knob to secure your setting before you make a cut. The four locking knobs on the left side of the jig also serve an important function. They allow you to attach either one or two gripper 200s to the jig, and that's going to allow you a safer, more accurate taper cut. So let's put this taper jig to use using the degree scale first. So I've drawn a taper here, I've measured it, and it measures 4 degrees. So what I need to do is set the jig to 4 degrees. And there we go. We'll lock it in place and we're ready to set the workpiece in there. So what I'll do is bring the piece in, engage that hook, slide this over. I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to go line to line and we're ready to cut. Looking at the rise and run scale, you'll notice that it's color coded as well, and it measures the number of inches per foot of taper. I have a 20-inch leg that I want the taper to start at 4 inches down from the top, and it's going to taper a 1/2 inch. So what I want to do is set the scale to 3/8 of an inch. I loosen the knob. I'm going to use the black scale, that's the 16ths. Slide it over to 6/16, which is 3/8. Tighten it down, and now the jig's ready to go. The next step is to set the fence. So we bring the leg in, engage the hook, and we'll move this over, and I'll set that line to line. And there we go. I know that I can't cut this safely the way it is, so I'm going to use a gripper. So I'm going to install the gripper, and I know that on this 20-inch, that I can get away with just one, and I'm going to center it on that leg. If it were much more than 20 inches, I'd probably opt to use 2 grippers. So I'll engage the gripper using these knobs, slide it in there, make sure it's all the way in, tighten it up, and then I will raise the gripper up all the way to the top, and then I'll tighten that until I get the leg inserted. So I will slip that leg in there, make sure it engages the hook. I'll drop that gripper back down. Now it's resting on the leg, and you'll notice that I've added a shoe because at 1.5 inches this balance support isn't long enough. So all I do is just add a shoe. So my next step is to just make sure that I have clearance for the gripper, and I'm good to go there. My next step then is to cut that taper. And that's how you cut a taper. The more I use this jig, the more I like it. It definitely grows on you. So 2-sided, 4-sided, or 8-sided, easy, no problem. Let me just show you one other aspect of this jig that I really like. You can turn this tapering jig into a large push block. So if I wanted to rip a straight edge on a crooked board, I'd be able to do that. I would loosen the pivot knob and the lock knob, and then I just move that top plate up into the 2 jointing slots, and then I reinstall those 2 knobs, and I'm locked and ready to go. And there's a trailing block that I'll take out of storage, move it around to the back of the jig and secure it in those slots, and that allows the jig to push the board through the saw safely. Like I said before, I've built quite a few tables over the years, and they've all had tapered legs on them. And in the last 18 months, I've built 5 or 6 river tables, and they've all had 2-sided tapered legs. I really wish I'd have been aware of this jig back then. It would have made things so much easier. And with the gripper system, it is just so much safer and more comfortable to use than anything I've used in the past. So for me, this jig is a game changer, and it's a permanent addition to my shop. To make it permanent in your shop, click on the link below. And to receive regular tips and information on the new tools and products, be sure to sign up for our emails by going to thewoodsmithstore.com. And just so you don't miss anything, be sure to click on the button below to subscribe to our Woodsmith Store YouTube channel.